Hi, it's Lisa Cuneo and welcome to my scrapbook table. Today is day 10 of Christie's Beautiful Life with 30 Days of Sketches, and we're using this sketch by Sarah Davies. It's got several strips of paper there on the left and a small cluster at the bottom right. So I have a photo here of a cup of coffee, and I'll explain in a while why that's significant. I just backed this white paper with some navy blue cardstock and I framed my photo. And I have a bunch of papers here, mostly scraps, but that one is not, from a variety of different collections, different manufacturers. I don't use them all. I just pulled out anything from my scrap bins and some other envelopes that I thought could work. And so, let's see. Oh, I also have a little tray with some items from MK's shop, some assemblage required. I have this coffee stuff, which I actually bought it to do about my husband's love for coffee, or my son's, but that's not how it turned out. And I have some stickers and little things there from an old, I believe it's Indigo and Ivy collection, but I'm not positive. So I have a strip of copper colored textured paper there, and now I'm trimming down this scrap of wood grain from my drawers. And I have a piece from Minte Written Memories, that's that blue with a little bit of green there. The flower is from Indigo and Ivy. So I start building from the bottom up, and then I realize I don't think that's gonna work very well. So in a minute here, you'll see I take the photo and I start gluing the layers behind the photo and working my way down to that copper colored strip that's at the very base of this section. And that piece I'm working with now is a scrap from Elizabeth Craft Designs collection called Rusty Weathered, I believe. I started out using that collection thinking I was going to just use that collection exclusively with a few little scraps, but the blue in it just wasn't the right blue for the cup. It was much more green. And I tried, and it just bugged me. So I decided, this is silly. You have lots of paper. Choose some that you feel better about. So that's what I did. I'm not sure what I'm doing at the moment. Maybe I'm trimming that piece down a little bit. There we go. Maybe I pulled a longer piece. Actually, I think I end up using the shorter one though. Yep. And yes, this was a 12 by 12. It wasn't a scrap, but I had already scored it in several places to use for, pardon me, another project, but that didn't work out. So I had not been using it simply because of those score lines and things, and I thought this was a good way to use up part of it, and I still have some strips to use for other things. So now I start putting the layers behind the photo. I'm not sure where this little tan piece with wavy white lines came from, but it worked out really well. Then I have the wood grain. I like the diagonal wood grain on that piece. And then the flowers. So I was counting to make sure I had the same number of papers as I see in Sarah's sketch, and I think I do. And in a moment here, I realize I did not ink the edges of my papers, And I debated, should I just keep going or should I go back and ink them? And I really wanted them inked. So I did go back and ink them. I didn't completely dismantle everything. I pulled it apart enough that I could ink the edges that showed. And I don't have you watch all of that because that would have taken quite a bit of time. And so I'll just show them at the very end of my inking here. And I believe that is Distress Oxide Walnut Stain. And then I couldn't remember if I did the blue. I picked it up, but no, it was already done. So, back to finishing this piece with all these strips. And lastly, for the strips of paper, I cut the copper piece in half so that I can extend it the whole way. I wanted that to go from top to bottom of my white cardstock. So I just split it and there'll be a little gap, but no one will ever see it. I like to use my T-square to make sure I get those lined up right, because if I just try to eyeball it, I don't usually do very well. And there, that piece is ready. This layout came together start to finish in about an hour and a half. I was pretty pleased with that. Then I thought about the circular element in the sketch. What could I do? And I considered using one of the papers that I have and making a circle, and then I thought, wait a minute, I have a doily, and to me that just felt like it fit. Now this doily was white with some gray in it, so I just took that same walnut stain ink and gave it some brown instead of the gray. And I like that. And I knew I wanted to add a title here and also to have some places for journaling. So I end up veering off from the sketch at this point because I use this circle as kind of a cluster base on the right of the coffee cup. But I also decide, and I had thought I would do this from the beginning, that I am going to add a horizontal element, and you'll see in a moment that I do that. So now I'm pulling out my title that says My Coffee Life, and thinking about where I want that. There's a little cup, mug of coffee with a heart-shaped steam coming out of it, several coffee beans. And there you can see I'm adding a horizontal element. This is a piece from Minte's Written Memories collection. I love this piece of paper. And I know a typewriter doesn't have anything to do with this picture or this story, but I liked the colors and it just seemed to fit for what I wanted, so I stuck it on there and I'm happy with how it turned out. I love this piece of paper. It was one of my favorites from the collection. So I just tuck it up under there. And there we go. My journaling is going to end up below that paper. And so now I'm going to start gluing things down. And I thought I would read my journaling. It says, "People who know me well would be surprised at the idea of a scrapbook page about coffee and me. Until recently, I really disliked coffee, but somehow my tastes have changed. The photo is actually my second cup of coffee that day. A couple months later, I tasted the coffee we gave for favors at the wedding, and I really liked it, especially with some sweetener and half. It's a whole new thing." So, yes, I'm 55 years old, and I never really liked coffee. In fact, I never drank coffee at all until the last 5 years or so. If I have a really bad headache, I'll drink a small cup of really strong coffee and take some ibuprofen and try to get rid of my headache. And somehow, I don't hate it anymore. I usually choose tea. but every once in a while, I have a cup of coffee. So now I'm building the cluster that goes in the bottom right. And I just took a sticker, and I cut a strip of wood grain from a branding strip. I have a little flower sticker down there that matches the florals in the paper on the far left. And I also have a coffee, like in a to-go mug, that's going to go there along with 2 coffee beans. Somehow there was fuzz stuck on the back of that sticker and I was trying to get it off. I'm down to the very end of the the blue floral papers, the collection that came from. And I know I've said it just in this video, but for the moment the name escapes me. I'm down to the very end of that. So I think I will probably, it's time for me to take out what's left in that collection and sort it into other places in my stash. Indigo and Ivy. I've really loved using that collection. Navy blue and white is my favorite combination ever. And I bought this date stamp this week at Joann's. It's from Heidi Swap. And I bought a date stamp a while ago, but I could never get it to work well. I couldn't get it to stamp nicely. So I threw that away a while ago. And this was the first try for this one, and I really like it. So I put it on there. There's my journaling. I'm erasing the lines. Since I had quite a bit of journaling, I went ahead and drew some pencil lines so that it didn't get too far off track. And there we go. The still shots are coming up in a moment. Thank you for joining me, and check out 30 Days of Sketches with Christy's Beautiful Life. Have a great day. Bye.